Welcome everybody to this webinar. My name is Scott Street. I am the council's Jamboree contingent chairman for the 2023 Jamboree. And it's great to see some names I recognize and a number that I don't, which means that we've got a lot of interest from all across the council, and this is wonderful. And I'm not going to be the one speaking to you tonight. I'd like to introduce Win Badal, who is actually our promotions chair for the Jamboree, and he's put together a great presentation for everybody tonight. And he and I are also going to answer any questions that y'all may have. So as Win's going through the presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat and trying to find answers to questions if we don't already know them. And we'll try to address all questions before this is over. So once again, welcome everybody. I'd like to introduce Win Badal.
All right, well, fantastic. Thank you, Scott. I hope everybody's having a good evening. I definitely appreciate you guys taking the time out to learn a little bit more about Jamboree. We'll be going over a couple of different things this evening. For those who don't know, we'll talk about what a Jamboree is. We'll talk about how to attend and what the requirements are. We'll talk a little bit about that Jamboree experience. We'll talk about how to register and what it's going to cost, and then we'll have some time at the end for you guys to ask questions. So with that, I'll take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Win Badal. I am an Eagle Scout, class of 1984. I attended the National Jamboree as a youth, both in 1981 and 1985. I also attended the 2019 World Jamboree. I'm an assistant scoutmaster with Troop 763 in Glen Allen, part of the Cardinal District, and I'm also an assistant council commissioner. And as Scott mentioned, I am the promotions chair for the 2023 Jamboree Committee for the Heart of Virginia Council. All right, so Jamboree, Jamboree is one of those premium experiences for a scout. It's often a once in a lifetime opportunity for them. It's really goes to the core of what scouting is all about. For 85 years, the National Jamboree has brought scouts and scouters from all over the country and all over the world, to share that bond that's called scouting. Each Jamboree builds on the previous edition. So it gets more exciting. They bring in more events, and it's really a great time. Let's see here. So the Jamboree is now its permanent home is in West Virginia, at Summit Bechtel Reserve, near Beckley, West Virginia. It's a 10,000 acre reserve that's adjacent to 70,000 acres of protected national river area. And it's one of the most amazing outdoor recreation centers on earth. Here at the Jamboree, as it says on the slide, we're going to have 10 days of adventure, entertainment, innovation, socializing, and all-out fun. And we'll talk about each one of those aspects and elements as we go through our presentation this evening. So here's a map of Summit itself. You can see there's a couple different zones. There's the adventure zones, which a lot of the high adventure activities are. We'll go over those in a little bit more detail later on. And then there's also the campsite that's on that north side of Goodrich Lake. There's also the James C. Justice National Scout Camp. Several of you may have gone to your summer camp at Bechtel and stayed at Justice, but there's definitely more to Bechtel than just summer camp. So and that is what Jamboree is all about. As I mentioned, it is an experience of a lifetime. There's so many different things that you'll have an opportunity to do, such as there's stadium shows, there's adventure sports, there's aquatic adventures. You have an opportunity to do merit badges. and it's all tied together through the Summit Center, the Walter Scott Summit Center. You know, it's the Summit Center, including Action Point, is where visitors can come and experience the Jamboree, and it's here where you'll get the taste of what Jamboree is all about. You know, let's see here. A little bit, I'll jump into a little bit about how do you attend the Jamboree. So there's a couple different qualifications that scouts have. You do need to be a registered scout. So whether you're a Scouts BSA scout, an explorer, a venturer, or a Sea Scout, you do have to have your membership does have to be active. For Scouts BSA, you need to be a first class scout by the first day of the Jamboree, which is July 19th, 2023. And you also must be at least 12 years old by that first day as well. One thing that is different, and I think is one of the things that's really exciting about this year's next year's edition, is they've expanded the age criteria for scouts. As you know, they had to cancel the 2021 Jamboree because of coronavirus. Well, for scouts or youth who haven't reached their 20th birthday by the last day of the Jamboree, July 28th, 2023, they can attend as a youth. And that's pretty huge, because in years past, over 18 would have to attend as an adult. So if you yourself are in that category, we definitely want you to come. If you know somebody who thought they might not be able to attend the Jamboree because they were too old, definitely let them know. You know, beyond that, you know, if you're over 18, you do have to have youth protection training, and you need to be approved by the unit leader and by the Heart of Virginia Council. Parents and guardians do need to complete the consent form online, and you also need to participate in the pre-Jamboree experience training that the Heart of Virginia Council is going to provide. So we'll go into that a little bit more later. And then, of course, you need to have a BSA medical form that's dated after July 1st, 2022. So if you go get your physical on Friday, you can use that physical for Jamboree next year. And then, of course, you need to stay current on all of the pay schedule for the Jamboree that we'll also go over here in a minute. For venturing explorers and Sea Scouts, much the same situation there. You know, though they are a little bit older by default, but as long as they've not reached their 21st birthday, they can attend as a youth as well. But then, other than that, all of the same criteria for other youth attendees apply.
And let me just step in right here, just to clarify on the previous slide, or maybe it's 2 slides where we had a typo on there. It said 20th birthday. It is the 21st, as long as you're not 21 by July 28th. So if you are 20, that's fine, or younger, but not 21.
All right, great. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate that. So adults also must have a current membership with their local council. They must be at least 21 years of age before the first day of the Jamboree. All leaders must be approved by the Heart of Virginia Council. Those that are going to serve as a scoutmaster or assistant scoutmaster for a contingent troop must be serving in a leadership position in Scouts BS in scouting. But this year it's different. In years past, the scoutmaster had to be the contingent scoutmaster had to be a scoutmaster of a troop. That's not the case this year, so it is opened up a little bit more. Of course, all adults must be current in youth protection training, and you need to register online as a leader on the national website. We'll go over that in a minute as well. And then, much like the youth, you also need to commit to participate and assist and the pre-Jamboree training that the HOVC is going to provide. And then also too, there's a number of requirements that the Jamboree is going to have. Each unit is going to have what they call a unit care provider. So one of the named unit leaders, whether it's a scoutmaster or one of the assistants, either needs to be needs to have a current healthcare license, and you can see the licenses that qualify here on the screen, or they need to have the wilderness first aid certification and CPR certification. So one of the things that the Heart of Virginia Council will be doing later on this year, perhaps early in 2023, is holding both a wilderness first aid and CPR classes, so we can get as many leaders that are going to Jamboree certified as possible. Because 1 is a good number, 2 or 3 is even better. And then of course, you have to have your BSA medical form current as well, A, B, and C, and of course on and after July 1st, 2022. So how do you register? So it is a 2-step process, which well, like as you might imagine in Scouts, there's always an extra step, right? So first off, go out to the national website, so jamboree.scouting.org. That is where you can register. That is where you will also determine if you're an adult. That's where you can register as a leader. If you're registering for your scout, make sure you use their BSA member ID and not your own. You can find that BSA member ID in your Scout's profile in Scout Book if you need to look it up. But that's where you'll do your first step for registration. That is also the portal by which the council will do any approvals or clearing somebody to attend the Jamboree. So that's for youth and for adults. And for
related to that, most unit leaders should have access to Scouts BSA ID numbers, or anyone really registered in the unit, not only through Scout Book, but also through the my.scouting portal. So if you can't find your BSA ID number, please reach out to your unit leader and see if he or she can help you out.
Right. Once you've registered with National, or you go ahead and also go out to the HOVC website. We have a web page there that's going to become the repository of information about the Jamboree gear list and so forth. It's where you can sign up. Honestly, if you're attending this call, that means you got the invite for this meeting, which means you've already registered. So at least even if you haven't registered on the national website, you've got step 2 taken care of already if you're a part of this meeting. So that's definitely good. But definitely for anybody that you share this with, make sure to let them know there is a 2-step process for registration.
And adults do have 2 options. They can register as volunteer staff members, or they can register as leaders with the council, as Wynn's already mentioned. So make sure you're careful with that, adults, when you pick your registration option there, on whether you'd like to be a leader with the council's contingent, or if you're applying to be a volunteer staff member and serve in one of the many needed areas across the Jamboree. If you're interested in doing both, of course, you can indicate to us that you'd like to do both. If you have trouble with that, absolutely, on step 2, that website, on that survey, let us know you want to be a leader with the unit from the council, and we'll get back in touch with you.
All right. So the next big question everybody's going to have is, what's it going to cost? So each council comes up with their own fee. The basis of that fee is the fee that we pay for each participant to National itself. This year, that is $1,250. In addition to that, there are other fees that the council has for the attendees. That includes Jamboree, transportation that's to and from the event. We'll have charter tour buses for those, so we will travel in style as we go there. It'll be Jamboree patch, of course, contingent swag, and then also too, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have at least one contingent shakedown weekend that also includes food and activities. So we'll talk a little bit more about that shakedown in a little bit. And over on the right side of the slide, you can see that there is a payment schedule. So you don't have to pay that entire $1,950 at once. There is a schedule. The first payment is due on the 15th of August. So that's a $500 payment that's payable to the Heart of Virginia Council. They do prefer that you make payment either by credit or debit card. Any credit card charges, you will incur a 3% surcharge on that. So save yourself a little money and pay by check or cash. And actually, I think I said that. Let me correct myself. It's credit or debit cards have that 3% surcharge. So cash or check is the way to pay. One other thing to keep in mind is if you there are late fees associated with not staying current on your balance. So there's a 10% late fee that applies to all outstanding balances after August 16th. And then there's some other ones later in the year and in the first part of the 2023. But as long as you're staying current on that, you'll be fine. One other thing too, for youth and adults that register after these dates, they will also have to incur those fees. So, it's for them, it'll go up, 10% if they register after the 16th of August. So we're definitely looking to try to get as many people registered now as possible.
Yeah, let me just clarify that a little bit. This is based on Nationals fee, and when they have payments due, not the $1,950 fee. So anyone who hasn't paid the $500 deposit that we have to pay to the National Council by August 16th will have a $50 late fee. It's 10% of that 500. We have to have approximately $1,000 paid by December, so that if you haven't paid by December 15th, up to $1,000, which if you follow this payment schedule, you would. But if you hadn't yet, there'll be an additional $50 late fee. Then likewise, if you haven't paid by March 15th, it would be an additional $50. And our registrar has just messaged me. He says that late fees are added in at the final payment of the whole schedule. So, certainly you can pay them up front, but we will assess them at the end. That balance due is based upon whatever you have left. So you could pay for the whole thing up front. You don't have to spread it out. You can make bigger chunks of payments, but we want to make sure everyone has paid $500 by mid-August, at least $1,000 by mid-December, and they've covered the whole amount by mid-April.
Awesome, thank you, Scott. Do we want to pause right now and if anybody's got any questions about fees?
That's a good idea. You'd have to unmute yourself to ask a question or type it in the chat for us if you have any questions about the fees.
All right, great. Well, we'll go ahead and move on. We'll still have time at the end of our session here for Q&A as well. So preparation. So, as I've mentioned before, there are some things that we're going to do prior to the Jamboree, so we arrive ready to be as a unit. So everybody starts registering now, and then in the fall of 2022, probably the November, December timeframe, once we get a sense for the registrations, we'll start building units. So those units will then start to meet. Perhaps it'll be over Zoom. They might find other ways to do it. It really will depend on how that particular unit is comprised, and whether or not we organize units based on geography. So as you can see on the slide, we'll have occasional unit meetings. It's going to have the opportunity for those that don't know one another to start becoming acquainted. We'll start selecting our youth leadership, because just like a regular troop, the contingent troops are youth led, and we'll start figuring out what our right rhythm is for messaging and communications and so forth. We will have that one contingent weekend, shakedown weekend, we're targeting right now for May of 2023. It's our opportunity to we'll go out, we'll set up our tents just like we would at the Jamboree. We'll do some team building, and we'll do some training together, and then we'll also cook as a troop and as patrols. We'll try to keep that very similar to the food experience that we'll have at the Jamboree. And I see that there's a message and a chat about food, and we'll talk about that in an upcoming slide, a little more detail on the food. All right, so camp life. This is the backbone of the Jamboree experience. So it's where we'll convene in the morning. It's where we'll have our breakfast and our dinners. It's where we'll regroup from our days of activities. Things about the camp life. So troop structure. Each troop has 40 members. It will have at least 4 adult leaders and 4 youth leaders and 4 patrols. In years past, you had a maximum of 4 adult leaders per unit and 36 youth. They are going to allow additional adults into each troop. Scott, I don't believe they've actually determined what that number is yet. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's still up in the air.
Okay, so but it will potentially be more than 4, which opens up some opportunities for folks who want to come and attend. In years past, it was a little bit competitive of who was going to be the scoutmaster and the first, second, and third assistant scoutmasters, but it's also kind of refreshing that there's an opportunity to have additional assistant scoutmasters in a troop as well. As I'd mentioned before, the youth do lead the troop. So there's the senior patrol leader, assistant senior patrol leaders, quartermasters, chaplains, aides, patrol leaders, assistant patrol leaders, patrol quartermasters, and patrol chaplains, aides. Those are the traditional roles that we'll be filling within the youth for the contingent troops. So a little more about camp life. Breakfast and dinner are held in camp. They build a menu for us. Each morning, the quartermaster will go and get their food that they'll bring back to camp, and that the patrols will prepare. It's not typically complicated recipes. They want scouts to spend their time having adventures and not cleaning up from food. So don't worry too much about the cooking component of camp life. Lunch is on the go. So they do have pretty much grab and go lunches that you'll take with you. You'll pick those up at breakfast and take them with you throughout the day. You do select your own activities. Typically what will happen is, at Jamboree, we'll use the buddy system, and each scout and their buddy will be able to determine what they want to do that day, whether it's earn a merit badge or go exploring throughout the summit. Go do some of the activities we'll talk about here in a few minutes. And there's also opportunities to go visit other campsites. As I mentioned before, there's scouts from all over the country, and we'll probably have some international scouts as well. So, going and mingling with other scouts is a huge opportunity. So the activities that are available at the Jamboree, there's just an amazing amount of things that scouts can get involved in. It's zip lines, and everybody's probably heard about the big zip, their big zip line there. They have high ropes courses. There's BMX and mountain biking, lots of shooting sports, rock climbing, all sorts of aquatics. There's an ATV course out there. There's also skateboarding and scuba and STEM activities as well. So there's just a lot of different things that a scout and their buddy can choose to do throughout the day. Another fantastic thing about the Jamboree is the parties. So they have world-class stadium shows. That in the AT&T stadium that they have there, they bring in a lot of different people. In years past, they've had Bear Grylls, who is an ambassador for scouting, Pentatonics, and also some Broadway shows and so forth. The U.S. president is often invited to attend and give some remarks. Also, there's parties in the base camps themselves. So and we'll talk about base camps here shortly. But scouts will definitely have an opportunity to stay active for all 10 days. So really fun opportunities. Here's an example of the daily schedule. This is from the 2017 Jamboree. So what we end up with might be a little bit different. But what's important to note, all that white space that's on the calendar, that's time for scouts to go and plan their own day. So they have a lot of latitude to be able to go experience and make choices for themselves about what they want to do. So once again, just highly flexible of creating your own adventure. A couple of important places around the summit. Of course, we've spoken a little bit about campsites. That's where we'll spend our mornings and our evenings before we go out and do events like the concerts and so forth. There's the grocery store. So the grocery store is where the quartermaster will pick up the food for the troop and the patrol each day. They do have bathhouses. For those of you who have been to Summit before, they do call it ambient temperature water. So you do have to get used to cold showers, but that's part of the experience. There's the Console Energy Bridge, which is a pretty iconic landmark at Summit. There's the trading post, lots of different opportunities for scouts to buy souvenirs, pick up something they may have left at home, and really kind of spend some money, buy some food. There's going to be food opportunities there. So if a scout didn't necessarily like the breakfast they had, they can go pick up something at the trading post. Slice of pizza or what have you. I understand there may also be food trucks there from time to time. So lots of different opportunities to eat. Of course, I mentioned the AT&T Stadium, where a lot of the big events that throughout the week will happen. And there's some of the activity areas like the bows, where you get to do archery, or the rocks, where they have rock climbing and so forth that's available. Let's see here. There was a question here. Are all activities included in the cost? Cindy, yes, absolutely. With one exception. There's a whitewater rafting opportunity that we'll have while we're at Jamboree. There is an additional fee for that. But all of the activities that you do on the property itself are covered in the fee. All right. So the technology. This is definitely one scouting activity where it's a great idea to bring your phone. Um, they have a there's a Jamboree app where you'll get important information, updates specifically about weather. It's a way to find your way around the property. There's a free AT&T Wi-Fi throughout the camp, so you don't have to use your data in order to be able to to find your way around or get information or communicate with your buddy. They do have charging stations and strategic places around around the campus, so you can charge your device if you need to. However, it is recommended to bring an extra battery. That way you can charge overnight. One thing I did hear also too, that it may be a wise idea to purchase a solar charger, so you can charge that device, that battery in camp during the day, and then charge your device at night. So that's one little tip I'll share with you guys that I've recently heard.
And let me add here, I just got back yesterday from a week at the summit. If we can go back one slide, please. Sure. And the Wi-Fi throughout camp is pretty darn good. In some of the far outreaching areas where you're doing remote hiking, you're not going to be able to pick up the Wi-Fi. But in every program area and between most program areas, there was Wi-Fi. AT&T Wi-Fi just means AT&T has paid for it and put it all out there. If you have Verizon or some other cell provider, you can still use the Wi-Fi. It's free to everybody. So don't worry about that. You don't need an AT&T contract to use it or anything like that. There are plenty of these charging stations around. What I suggest that people bring, though, is if you have a little block to plug in for charging or something, you may want to go short extension cord instead of plugging your block directly in. Some of the outlets won't take certain blocks, the ones that are sideways instead of just compact squares. If you have a little 1 foot extension cord or something like that, that's helpful. Also, if you have one that splits into multiple outlets, so you can share that one outlet that you're connecting with maybe 2 other people. It's really a good way to meet some people as you're standing there where your device is plugged in. And also it's a great way just to be friendly and share what's out there. There are not enough outlets for everybody to plug in at one time, but it's great to be able to do that. One other caution we have, while there are some outlets in the bathrooms, you do not want to plug in your device and leave it on the shelf in the bathroom. Those outlets are right next to the sinks. You'd hate for somebody to knock your phone off of the little 4-inch deep shelf. They're mainly there for plugging in, let's say, electric razors or something like that, and not meant for charging your devices.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott. All right. So what do you want to bring to the Jamboree? So for personal gear, we will be providing a packing list, just like we would for summer camp. You will need to make sure all of your gear fits in a specific duffel or pack. We will be, as I mentioned before, we will be traveling in a tour bus motor coach. So space will be at the premium. So less is more. For those of you who've gone to summer camp before, you know what you've used and what you haven't. So definitely put what you've used in your bag. One thing that I will note is they do recommend that you have 2 field uniforms, one of which is Jamboree specific. As I mentioned before, each participant is going to receive some patches that they'll want to put on their uniform, so we can reflect, our uniforms reflect our unit affiliation. So that's one thing I'll share with you guys.
And related to that, you'll get council strips.
Right.
There will be special unit numbers that we'll put under that council strip. There's also typically a patch that probably similar to the one that's sitting behind Wynn's head in the video is a little window there that you'll wear above your right pocket on your field uniform. And while we want to have it, one Jamboree specific uniform, we're not discouraging anyone from making it two. We don't want people to go out and buy special uniforms just to have for this week. Consider taking your regular uniform for your unit and swapping out the council strip and swapping out the unit numbers. And when you come back, you can put new unit numbers. Your old, your actual unit number, say you're in troop 555, you could put that 555 back on there. You're welcome to wear the Jamboree council strip forever. After you have that, you don't have to put back the standard Heart of Virginia council strip on there.
All right, great. A couple things that the Jamboree will provide is they are providing a cot and for the troop cooking gear, so we won't have to worry about bringing that with us.
One other thing, someone just asked in the chat, will people be provided one of the gear bags, duffel bags, as they provided in 2017 and also in 2013 and also in 2019 for the World Jamboree? And the short answer to that is no. The National BSA has decided not to issue duffel bags again. And part of the feedback was a number of people have come to multiple events and they saw that as a wasted expense. So we're encouraging scouts to get a duffel bag, and approximately 100-liter bag, which is similar to what you see pictured up above there. Osprey makes a great bag, but you don't have to use their bag. What's nice about Osprey's bag and some similar bags is they also have shoulder straps, so you can wear it like a backpack to hike your gear somewhere. You don't have to just carry it with the handles or a shoulder strap. Right. Actually, you can wear it like a backpack. I encourage something like that because I will say the buses will not drop us off at the exact spot where we'll be camping. We could have 100 yards or so, maybe even 200 yards to walk. We'll not have to walk as far as a quarter mile. We're certainly less than that from where we will be camping. But you do have to carry your gear a little ways on the first day and on the last day.
All right.
One thing that's not on there that's important, water bottles. I would bring at least one 1-liter water bottle, if not multiple, in case one gets broken. Now they will have plenty for sale, but as we know, what you can buy here in town is probably cheaper than what you can buy out there at the event. Right. If you have a day pack that has a water bladder, and a Camelback style water bladder, that's encouraged to have as well. There are plenty of refill stations around for Camelbacks or water bottles. In fact, Camelback actually sponsors the water refill stations all around. So scouts can get plenty of water. We want our scouts to stay fully hydrated all week. That's the biggest health and safety issue they have out at the Jamboree, actually, is related to hydration. So they will encourage people to hydrate depending on what the temperature is. Once it gets over 89 degrees, I think it is, they go to a red flag status, which encourages more water. All the staff will encourage the participants to drink more. And if it gets in the upper 90s, they go to a black flag status, which is immediately drink a water bottle. And then every so often, I forget what the timing is, they'll have you sit there and drink some more water. They're very serious about this out there. Another thing they're serious about is lightning. So everyone's aware of this. And Wynn mentioned the Wi-Fi, and you can get special alerts. If lightning's within 12 miles of the facility, they go on the lightning awareness alert. And then they have, if it's within 8 miles, they have an alert where they will shut down that console bridge. That's big metal structure right in the open space, which you'd hope people wouldn't be on. The programs will shut down and they'll go into safe areas that they have for the scouts. They have a very well planned out emergency procedure set up out there, and I got to participate in it several times in the last week, and it was very impressive how well the facility manages those situations.
All right.
And yes, you will need a day pack to carry around. You will want that. And this is not a string bag. You do not want a string bag. You want something with padded shoulder straps, day pack to carry on.
Right.
That could be a carry on the bus as well. Somebody asked that.
Right. Yeah. As you can see from this map, some of the activities are fairly distant from one another. So yeah, having a good sturdy pair of shoes and a day pack and a water bottle or two is the way to go. Because if you're starting off at the canopy and you want to head over to the bows or to the ATV course, that's quite a distance. So each scout and each adult is going to be spending a lot of time in the day doing a lot of hiking and walking. So as a matter of fact, one of the National has a series of Jamboree webinars to get councils ready for the event and actually participants as well. Last week's webinar was on there was an element of that on talking about health, and the medical director was on, and the one of the things that she cautioned is typically really directed at us older scouters who plan on going. Make sure you're getting up and walking or getting around and starting to do walking now, because you don't want to be out of shape going to summit.
Some things to mention here also about not only do you need that sturdy footwear, something that will protect your ankle. There are some program elements where you will not want to have that. If we can go back to that overall map you just had in the previous slide, if you happen to be going to the tracks of the park in the upper left-hand corner of that map, that's a BMX, bike riding, and skateboarding. They also have some smaller BMX and skateboarding courses in the Adventure Zone area. They require you have low-rise shoes like tennis shoes. It's very important to have flexibility in your ankle in order to maneuver skateboards as well as to properly handle the bikes. You want that also for mountain biking if you're going to do some of that while you're out there. If you're going to participate in the whitewater rafting, and Wim did mention there was a fee for that, and the information we have is that fee won't be available till spring. But one thing I do know is you're required to have closed-toed shoes that you can wear in the water. These can be something like Keens that have some breathability to them, and they're like strapping or whatever. But you can't wear flip-flops, slides, anything like that. You need to have your toes covered, and should have a strap on the back to keep that shoe on your foot. And along those lines, of course, bathing suit. You've heard all sorts of things about the lake, seen some pictures there, whitewater rafting. Clothes you can get wet in is important, but something that will dry quickly. As Wynn has mentioned, there's a lot of walking around, and you don't want to have heavy wet clothes as you're walking around. So the moisture wicking breathable fabrics that dry quickly are encouraged. You do not need to be in uniform the whole time. Don't worry about mountain biking in your uniform. Worry about messing up expensive scout pants. We want you to have casual clothes on for those activities. Okay.
All right. So here's just a zoom in to the hub area that includes. This is where you'll find some merit badge midways. One of the trading posts is here. Some of the food and beverage areas. You can see that's where the AT&T Stadium is. So this is kind of central there. It's right there on Goodrich Lake. So scouts will be spending a lot of time in this area throughout our 10 days on site. So what's next? As we mentioned before, register out at jamboree.scouting.org. Also, sign up on the HOVC Jamboree webpage. for those who've signed up, you will start getting the information on how to begin paying your fees. So that's one other thing I want to make sure you guys have. You know, there are camperships available. So I want to make sure that folks are aware of that. If you've registered at jamboree.scouting.org, one of the segments of that registration included being able to begin that process for campership. So keep that in mind, particularly for families that might have some challenges around the fees. There's also going to be some fundraising available. We'll host a future session here where we'll invite Heather Dutton to come and talk. There's some, whether it's selling camp cards or other things, there's ways that the council can support families in coming up with the fee, because we definitely want every scout that wants to go to camp, or go to Jamboree, to go to Jamboree. We're also looking for patch designs. Whether you're an adult or whether you're a youth, one of the most important things, to be honest, for a lot of people, is a really cool patch. So that's one of the things that you'll want to bring. You'll see down in the chat here. Scott mentioned that we've got an email address specifically dedicated for the Jamboree, hovc.jamboree@gmail.com. So if you've got a patch design, definitely submit it there. We definitely want those patch designs, because there are several different patches that we want to design for Jamboree. I see Stephanie right there, and then in the chat. Will there be patch trading? Oh boy, will there be patch trading? This is like the Super Bowl of patch trading, the Jamboree is. So you'll definitely look out for that. And then also get pumped for the fall when the troops begin to organize and meet. It's really gonna the run up to the Jamboree is going to be as much fun as the Jamboree itself. So don't think of it as just 10 days. It's definitely it's going to be a 7 month journey for us as we prepare and head on out. So it's definitely going to be an extended opportunity for us to have some fun. As I was just talking about, every adventure has a beginning, and tonight is the beginning of that adventure for those of us on the call. Also too, we definitely invite you guys to tell your friends about the Jamboree. Share it back with your troops. The best thing about one of the best things about going to Jamboree is being able to share it with somebody, and sharing with a friend makes it even that much more special. With that, I just want to say, thank you for spending your time with us this evening. As I mentioned, the hovc.jamboree@gmail.com is our email address. You can definitely send questions there. And then also, of course, we've got the HOVC webpage where more information will begin to emerge. And then, of course, the national website as well. With that, that's the slide deck that we have to share with you guys tonight. We definitely want to spend a few minutes to answer any questions that you guys have. We can start with what we haven't answered in the chat.
Yeah, and I have a few of those right here, Win. So let me see if I can get to some of those real quick.
Okay.
One question's related to bikes. Will bikes be permitted? At this moment, we do not think bikes, you can bring a personal bike out there to ride around the Jamboree. It's a fairly crowded area with thousands of scouts, and really walking around is the primary method for transportation. They do have options for scouts and leaders with physical needs, so we can discuss those separately once we get off of this, if somebody wants to reach out to us with some specific concerns. I do know that with the biking, skateboarding, and such activities that they have out there, you are not permitted to use your own safety gear. They provide all of the safety gear because they know the history of that safety gear. they know that that helmet has not been in a wreck. They know how those pads have been treated. They know their own bikes. In fact, they have their own bike shop there, and skateboard shop and so forth. So there's no need for scouts to bring any of those things. Whitewater fee, what is it? We don't know. That'll be set in the spring. I think I mentioned that earlier. Scouts from the same troop, will they be grouped together? Perhaps not. Really, we take requests from scouts the best we can. If scouts want to tent with certain scouts, we'll put them with the same unit. If they want to be in a different unit from a certain scout, we'll try to accommodate that. But we also need to look at trying to get a balance of different ranks among the troops, different experiences, be it the leadership experiences, camping experiences, and so forth. Because we want each of our troops to be equally strong. And that may mean that some scouts from the same unit may not be in the same troop. They may get spread out in a couple or three troops, however many we have. Patch designs. There were some questions about requirements for patch designs. What we're looking for patch designs are basic artwork. Don't worry about where words would go, or does there have to be a certain symbol on there or anything like that. I mean, a fleur-de-lis probably has to be on there somewhere. I think that's a BSA requirement. But we will take that as a committee. We will take the design suggestion, which we think of as sort of a rough idea, and massage it to something that looks good in thread, because it's really hard to design for thread if you're not used to doing it. Like I said, we're just looking for basic ideas, and of course we would also work with the artist, whoever submitted it, if there were some changes that need to be made to accommodate some things, just to help educate that person too. So hopefully they'll design some other patches for us in the future, because we always love a good patch designer. So let's see. Somebody did reach out directly to me and said, if there's a conflict with, I believe this is traveling to the Jamboree or traveling home, can you have alternate transportation and still be a part of the HOVC contingent? I'm not sure about the details for that. We can probably work something out. However, it would not be any sort of reduction in price. We have to pay for a bus to move the whole troop up there. Be that 40 people or 39 people, the bus doesn't cost us any different. So if somebody's not going to travel, it wouldn't be fair to push their cost off on other people. Question about the duffel bag. We really should have duffel bags. Hard trunks would not be something we want to use. Not only are they difficult to pack on the bus, as Jennifer mentioned in her comment, carrying them a distance, like I said, it could be a couple 100 yards or so, can be annoying for scouts. So we do want to have duffel bags. They pack better under the cots that we'll have. The folding cots, they are not tall enough for most foot lockers to slide under. And the tents we'll be using will likely be approximately 9x9 in size. That's what's been used in the past. So we don't have a lot of extra room in there to stack up foot lockers or anything like that. Will there be a day pass to visit the Jamboree? I expect there will be opportunity for folks to come in and visit for a day. That's nothing that we'll be in charge of or managing at all from the council side. National will set those fees and those requirements up. And I wouldn't expect anything until after the first of the year on that. Once they have a handle on what the attendance will be for units, they can decide how many guest passes they can have and accommodate for that. Do we purchase the tents? We have no information on the tents right now. I will say, if that's, can you buy your tent after you've used it? I think in the past they've had that option. If it's what are we doing for tents? at the Jamboree. That we don't have that information yet. Artwork deadline for patches, submit sooner rather than later. As soon as we have some good ideas, we're going to start looking at them. Nothing will be looked at before the end of September. I will say that. So we want to get people to get signed up, and we'll have a big push once school starts again. So we want to make sure we get those ideas. So we'll take any help with patches and t-shirt designs and that sort of thing would be great. There was a question, I don't know if anyone saw the answer, but shirts will be provided. We will have some council contingent shirts. That's will be provided everyone in the fee. And Wynn mentioned this, that the units themselves, the different troops we send, may come up with a troop t-shirt or two. And if they design that, it'll be scouts within that troop will come up with that design. They'll vote on the shirt themselves, and they'll also fund it themselves. That will not be a part of the council's contingent fee. I'm not sure I understand Chris's question about are we set only on 30 plus, or we need to send, will we send 2 sets of 30 plus? If that's number of people attending the Jamboree, we have a troop is limited to 40 people, and we will send as many troops as we have people who are willing to go. Right now we have interest from scouts and leaders. It looks like we can fill 2 troops. If that jumps, we'll add another troop and keep doing so until national tells us you can't add any more, which I don't anticipate happening anytime before spring, because they want to try to have as many scouts as possible experience the Jamboree. They were really disappointed they had to cancel last year's Jamboree. That's why they're doing it next year instead of waiting until 2025, which was the next scheduled national Jamboree. So they want to get scouts out there. This is being recorded. We will plan on posting this on the website, the council's Jamboree website, which is on the screen, I think right here. Yep, it's on the screen for the little star symbol. So it won't be up tomorrow, but we'll get it up as soon as we can. Information about fees, the website to pay the fees and how to do that. The links to that site and information should be going out July 1st. I will say that site is specific for people who are paying. Please don't take that information if you get it and send it around to a bunch of other people and have them sign up to start paying. We need to know who is registered and make sure they're in the national system before we can start collecting money from them. So we want to make sure that's done. Is there mail out at the Jamboree? They may have that possibility. I'm not aware of them doing that in the past. There are thousands of people out there. I would think that instead of sending physical mail out there, most scouts will be encouraged to have a phone or similar device out there. Send daily emails or Snapchats or whatever to your scouts. If you have a birthday or something that's happening during the week and you wanted to have a gift given, coordinate with the unit leaders for that unit and see if you can get them to packages ahead of time, and they can hold off and give it to them on day 3 or whatever it happens to be. We'll try to work with that as we get closer to it. So troop for girls. Wynn, you want to address the girls and boys situation?
Sure.
I've been talking a whole lot here. Give you a chance to answer some.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, Jennifer, I sure do hope that we've got enough interest throughout the council to have a full troop for girls. If we do have to combine with another council in order to be able to have a troop, we will. As we mentioned before, we want any scout that wants to go to camp, or excuse me, go to Jamboree, to go to Jamboree. So we're going to find a way. It'd be great if that was through our own contingent troop, but we're gonna make it happen however it needs to happen. Hope that answers your question. Now, what I can say is, what all of you can help us out, right? Because we do want to be able to field as many troops in our contingent as possible. So each one of you guys can become an ambassador of the Jamboree and help us promote it, right? This presentation is recorded. We do plan on making it available on the website. Also, the presentation deck that we walk through is also going to be available out there, so you'll have that as a resource. And we absolutely invite you guys to help us get the word out, because the more people that know, I think the more people are going to be interested. What's more too is another thing that to be ready for is I understand that you've probably already received at least one email from National about the Jamboree. I understand that they're going to do another campaign to every Scouts BSA family to also encourage folks to sign up. So if you field questions about that in your own unit, you point them to our HOVC webpage. They can get a lot of information there. Send questions to our Gmail account, and we'll get as many troops out there. And hopefully, Jennifer, a full girl troop would make me really happy.
Yeah, and I just put in there information from National's website, which says even if we have a partial troop, as long as we can fill a patrol, we can go, and they'll put us with other partial groups. Camping is set up. There are barriers between the troop camping sites. Well, we'll all be in the same basic area if we're from the same council. There are roads between some of the camping areas. There are deep swells that are used for pushing away rainwater and stuff that comes in off of the fields, because we camp in fields, as you saw in some of the pictures. Those will separate the areas. So we will not have females and males camping directly together. That would be a violation of BSA policy. They will be near each other because we're in the same facility, but there are barriers in place separating them. And of course, we have plenty of supervision, adult supervision there as well. So I hope that helps out. As Wynn said, each of you are our best recruiters right now to help us out. You have a lot more information than just the general person in the council just for sitting through this hour. And we hope you will encourage scouts in your units and other units in your districts to help out. Questions that can a male be a leader for a girl troop attending Jamboree? Absolutely. We just need to make sure we have female leadership as well. Same rules we have for Scouts BSA units. Okay. In venturing, there are venture crews as well. This is not just Scouts BSA. So a venture patrol consists of 8 scouts and 2 adults. If the venture patrol is co-ed, then you need to have at least 1 adult male and 1 adult female in those 2 adults. Dietary needs are absolutely accommodated out there. They accommodate such things as vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, halal, kosher, all sorts of options are available. We'll be collecting that information in the spring so that the National Jamboree folks can plan and have the right equipment. And yes, great PR right there, Jennifer Bateman. Yes, anyone who's been will tell you how wonderful it is. I have been to a number of Jamborees over the years. My first one was in 1981. My last one at the summit was the actual first one in 2013. It's been a great experience out there. We've had a number of folks who've been on staff as well out there. If you have any questions about any of this, please reach out to us at that hovc.jamboree@gmail.com address, so we can answer your questions, address any concerns you have, and point people to that website, the hovc.org/2023-national-jamboree. website so that we can get you information, get them information rather, point them there. And as I mentioned, loads of information on the jamboree.scouting.org site, videos of a bunch of different activities out there. There's an FAQ section to answer lots of questions. And of course, if anything's not answered in there or you don't see the answer, reach out to us. Okay. Okay. Well, there's another question that came in directly to me. Will there be a Jamboree OA Lodge flap? I guess some people know I'm associated with it, the Order of the Arrow Lodge, Snorkel Lodge as well. Yes, there will be a Jamboree specific OA flap, and my expectation is that it will be designed to be coordinating patch with the council strip. So we'll have to wait for the council strip to design our council strips to come out. We've had multiple council strip designs in the past around a theme. The last couple of years we've had a center patch, maybe like an octagon or the pentagon or something, and then had council strips and a lodge flap that would match on the edges. So we have a nice big multi-patch design. Those tend to be sought after by folks who are training. So that's give you some ideas.
All right. Are there any other questions, or did we miss one from the chat? Or are we good? All right, we'll call that good. All right. Well, thanks everybody for taking your time out of your evening to spend.
When we've got one more question that came in, and one I didn't see just a second ago. A question about female chaperones, male chaperones. Females will tent with females, males will tent with males, and that will be accommodated. They have rules for that. Are buddies assigned for going around camp, or do we choose them? That's up to the units, but typically, my advice is we want scouts who want to be together to be buddies, so they're going to choose their own, and they can change from day to day. Part of a day to part of a day. It can be groups. It doesn't have to be just two. But the idea is, and we have been very successful. We have never lost a scout. And if we have a buddy system in place, we will never lose a scout. We may lose two scouts because they're stuck together with buddies, but the odds of them being lost for very long are pretty slim. So the idea of picking buddies will be left to those units, but usually you get to pick your own. All right, thanks, Wynn.
All right, great. All right, so if there's no other questions, definitely, as I mentioned before, thank you for choosing to spend your evening with us these last 75 minutes. If you have any other questions, of course, send it to the Gmail address. This presentation and this video will be posted to the HOVC.org webpage here in the next couple of days. So be on the lookout for that. So with that, everyone have a great weekend. Looking forward to everybody joining us at Jamboree in 2023.
Thank you again, everybody.